Hello,
check.
welcome to my presentation,
Recording.
Vienna and Budapest, a
Recording
comparative
sound.
review
Check.
of Fin-de-Siècle politics and
Viennese
paintings. My name is Philip
Budapestian
Gilmore. I
art.
have a
A
Master's of
comparative
Science
review
degree in
of
Urban
Fin-de-Siècle
Studies,
politics and
University of
painting.
New Orleans. Okay, briefly, my purpose is to give a brief background on cultural, political context. Not going to spend a lot of time on that. You'll see that more in my paper. But we're going to go straight into, after that, the main focus, which is going to be a formal analysis comparing both prominent Viennese and Budapestian paintings from around the turn of the century, 1900. Okay, again, we're going to go more into this in my paper, but briefly, politics and culture. Both Vienna and Budapest, you see key aspects of change in nationalism, the rise of nationalism, and the decline of liberal capitalism, the rise of anti-Semitism, generational shifts, urbanization, and specifically in Vienna, psychoanalysis, its influence on art, especially painting, which is going to be my focus. Now, our first artist is Gustav Klimt. He's a Viennese painter, and we're going to go over the Kiss from 1907 to 1908. And in the Kiss, Gustav Klimt uses his famous bright metallic gold leaf technique reminiscent of Byzantine art to draw the viewer into the warm embrace of the two central figures. Bold geometric patterns and shapes are used symbolically on the clothing and linen of the two figures. Rounded forms of different sizes and multicolored hues are repeated in decorative patterns, suggesting a soft femininity in the female figure. Monochromatic black, gray, and white rectangles alternate in size on the man's dress, leading a more masculine hardness. Floral and ivy-shaped leaves crown the heads of the female and male respectively. The organic yet stylized shapes of flowers and grass that support the embraced figures might provide comforting earthly support if it were not for the figure's proximity to the precipice. On close inspection, the serenity of the piece seems to give way to subtle tension and anxiety as the woman seeks refuge in the secure but awkward embrace near the edge of the precipice. Now, our next work is another Viennese artist, Oskar Kokoschka, The Bride of the Wind, or The Tempest. In this work from 1914, there's a swirling vortex of darkness and anxiety. Kokoschka uses an abundance of deep blues, dark purples, and swirling gray lines behind the two figures, a male and female lying close together in what appears to be a bed. The collapse forms around the couple produce anxiety and a sense of groundlessness, yet the same device immediately focuses the viewer's attention on the psychological state of the couple. The woman with her hand resting soundly in the man's arms appears fast asleep, unaware of the tempest around. The man nevertheless seems quite the opposite, tense, rigid, and uncomfortable. In fact, the tempest seems to be generated by the man's mental state. The gloomy colors, the collapse, and swirling forms unify the picture and give the viewer a sense of identification with the psychological maelstrom in the mind of the male figure. And the final Viennese artist is Egon Schiele, self-portrait 1911. Egon Schiele, another early expressionist painter, also worked with Gustav Klimt and exhibited works for the Vienna Secession. Schiele's painting portrayed highly graphic works of nudity and often incurred scandal for which he spent some time in prison. The graphic, tortured, and sexual nature of his work bespeak of inner psychosexual turmoil, and according to Marilyn Stokestad in Art History, 2nd edition, Volume 2, the missing hand and other body parts in Self-Portrait Nude from 1911 have been interpreted as the artist's symbolic self-punishment for indulgence in masturbation. Thus, both the works of Kokoschka and Schiele, through their explosive and graphic unveiling of inner psychic nature and painful realities, reignited the secessionist maxim to speak psychological truth. From a historical perspective, this heightened anxiety mirrored the increased societal tension in Vienna leading up to World War I. Now, our first Budapestian artist is Károly Ferenczi, Landscape at a Hilltop, 1901. In this painting, elements of light and dark, shade and texture form a naturalistic landscape of intimacy and vibrancy. Cool blues and greens are balanced with splashes of warm yellows and oranges for contrast, which lift the optical weight of the composition. The viewer sees the diminutive man with a top hat standing under the tree, leaning on his cane, embraced by the all-encompassing vegetation from above and all sides. The piece is perfect unity and balance in all its formal elements: line, shape, space and volume, light and value, color and texture. At first glance, it might appear this man is lonely. A closer look reveals that he is surrounded by good company. Our next artist is Tividar Konsvari Koska, Pilgrimage to the Cedars of Lebanon, 1907. In this work, simple organic lines divide and assign shapes to the three basic geographic forms delineating ground from horizon: light blue sky, salmon-colored hills, and the ground saturated in deep reds, browns, and blacks. The central object, the great cedar tree, is wistfully captured with wrapping trunk terminating in brilliant pink and red branches supporting the feather-like green leaves and branches. The magnetism of the pieces is heightened by the exuberant display of dancers linked together around the base of the tree, raising arms in joyous exultation. The relatively static pilgrims in the foreground below the tree give visual interest and provide necessary balance to the exuberant activity in both the middle and backgrounds. Now, our final work is by Odon Marfi, Constructive Self-Portrait, 1914. In this work, the artist's strong diagonal lines direct the eye from top left to bottom right in a way that produces a crisp, energetic, and yet feverish imbalance to the composition. This off-kilter effect, of course, serves a clear purpose as the artist attempts to convey his energetic and dynamic approach to his work. Multiple and alternating splotches of vibrant colors, warm oranges, yellows, and reds alternate with mellow browns and cool greens, blues, and purples. The strength of this line lends a solidity, which helps to balance out the composition and provide stability. The dynamic composition in self-portrait combines various stylistic approaches using a refreshing and original methodology that unites Fauvist, Cubist, and Expressionist approaches. In conclusion, the Fin-de-Siècle signaled a generational rebellion in both the political and cultural life of Vienna and Budapest. Vienna and Budapest painters adopted to new modern realities in culturally specific ways. Viennese painting, introspective and neurotic, response to political cultural insecurities, whereas Hungarian art was an exploration of the Magyar identity in the context of social and cultural changes through the landscape. Both Viennese and Budapestian paintings fully embodied a new direction, one that exemplifies the unstoppable shift towards modernity. And again, my name is Philip Gilmore, graduate student at University of New Orleans, Louisiana, United States. Thank you so much, and I hope you look forward to reading my paper.